Hey everyone, this is Stateside Street, a podcast where two Americans talk all things Corrie. I'm Shanika,
I'm Amelia.
and we have the privilege of sitting with legendary writer Debbie Oates. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Thank you.
Nice to be here. Hello.
Nice. Yeah. With Corrie, did you pitch to get into that, or did you go to like a writing scheme?
I pitched for it. I started in theatre. That was my first love, and then
Hmm.
I did some radio. I mean, I still do theatre when I can, when I have time.
Hmm.
Um, Brookside, I did a trial for,
Hmm.
and I did about 18 months on Brookside, and then I did a trial for Corrie. So I did a trial and went to America. Actually, went to Boston to visit some friends.
Oh,
And when I got back, there was a message saying, "Come and have an interview," and I got
oh,
the job
that's
from there.
nice.
So yeah, it was a um, yeah, it's always been my top soap. So it's an
Hmm.
exciting, still is an exciting part of my life.
Yeah. So what I love about your writing, especially your recent work, is you pack like an emotional punch, in my opinion. Like I think you're brilliant in like writing suspense and emotional scenes. With your recent work with like Craig's Attack, which still breaks my heart.
We're
Um,
still we're still traumatized.
yes, we
Yeah,
are
sorry about
actually. Yeah.
that.
But I'm just really interested in knowing how your tone and your style has changed since writing for Corey.
Well, thank you for saying that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of luck of the draw what episodes you get, but I'm always pleased to get something that is emotionally challenging. I mean, killing Craig was a bit brutal, wasn't it? But um, yeah, they're always my favourite episodes, particularly if you've got to get a character to a very difficult place to justify a
Mhm.
behaviour or justify an emotional challenge or whatever. Then
Mhm.
plotting an episode to get them to the right place to be able to land something really emotional. I enjoy that side of the job.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I get given those episodes, and maybe I just get lucky, or maybe I can. Sometimes you can twist, create, space within an episode to do what you want to do. It's quite a There's quite a lot more freedom than I think people think. If you want to take it, it's the
Mhm.
opportunities are there, which is
Mhm.
great. So pitch what you want, really. Whether or not it will go any further than the top conference room it's very much a joint enterprise, really. We part of the job, we have a conference every 4 weeks,
Mhm.
which is 2.5 days, or 2 days story conference, and half a day is looking at the episodes that have been commissioned for any changes. So yeah, part of the job is you have to arrive with pitches, and you have to kind of present them to the room and argue about them. So it's 2 days
Mhm.
of arguing, really. I mean, the writers, we're a big bunch, like a massive dysfunctional family. It's fantastic to see each other. We're all fed up with each other by 2 days later. And yeah, we kind of kick ideas around. So quite often what you pitch, even if it ends up in the show, it will be substantially different from the process of discussing it, challenging things you don't like about it or do like about it. And then
Mhm.
it goes, the ideas go to the story office, and the story team have a huge, because the sheer volume of output is mind blowing, really. So
Mhm.
how every 4 weeks there's like 24 episodes to write. Well, obviously it'll be 20 soon, but
Yeah.
episodes to write is it's astonishing sometimes. But
Yeah.
then it comes back to us, and then we can work on them within the episodes, and then the script team help us match
Mhm.
everything up, and production go off and play with it. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's a massive team effort.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine. Is there a particular note that kind of stuck with you, like either from like an editor or a fellow writer?
I think that we've got a really good script team at the moment, very experienced and lovely, and
Mhm.
very good at helping you towards your best work, which is what great script editors do. So
Mhm.
the best notes are quite often when they like you asked before about how to get somebody to an emotional place. They might go, well, I didn't quite believe it when they did this. For
Mhm.
me, that would be a good note. It's like, okay, well, I need to go back through the script and work out how I can make the character. I mean, you talk about Craig's death, but one of the challenges with that episode was getting Mick to the place where he would swing a bat at a police officer. So looking
Mhm.
at how to put him under so much pressure that seems credible. So, if they'd swung the bat and thought, didn't quite believe he'd do that in that moment, then my job is to go back and do that. So sometimes the notes will be that sort of thing. Sometimes we might have a new character and we're all writing different characters because nobody's seen them on screen yet. So it's like, well, that doesn't feel like the way we want to go with this. And yeah, but quite often it's you need to lose 2 minutes because it's too long. It's like, oh no.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's quite practical as well as being
Yeah.
creative.
How is it like writing like an original character? Like how hard is it to kind of find that voice?
Yeah, it can take time. What will usually happen is they'll have been pitched as part of a story, and then somebody will be asked to write an audition scene. Quite often somebody who pitched that story. So I've done a few of them over the years so you write an audition scene so that the casting department can see actors. And then once they've cast something, we've already been writing them usually for a couple of months by then. So we'll all be writing them differently. And then they'll sometimes show us the audition from the actor who's got the job. So that helps us see how they look and feel and how they, you know, the sort of acting sort of style they've got, or are they funny or are they really serious, or, you know, what are they like? Sometimes they're a totally different age than we expected or something like that. But I mean, not often. The communication is pretty good. But until you see them on screen acting with the other actors and see how they interpret the script, really you carry on kind of everyone writing slightly different versions, and the actor has to marshal it into a direction. And then as we start seeing them on screen, we all start writing to the strengths that we see. And so it can take months, really. It's tough for actors because their scripts might be quite diverse for a while, and they're trying to, you know, carve a path through. But and then it'll all settle down, and then we start working out what we enjoy writing for them.
If you could bring back any character to write for again, who would it be, and like what would you explore that you probably couldn't explore back then?
Wow, that's a great question. There's obviously some of the classic people you'd want to come back just because, you know, but some of the actors are no longer with us, or you know, the character is no longer with us. Although that seems to have not stopped us some of the time. I always really enjoyed writing. I like writing the strong women who are difficult to crack. They're my favourite. So I always enjoyed writing the previous Becky, not the current. Well, not that I don't like writing the current Becky, but the previous Becky. Kate Kelly, Catherine Kelly was brilliant. And
she's
those
great.
ones where they're both funny and quite tough, but also vulnerable. So, yeah, she was always a favourite. Depends how far back you want to go.
I would love to just see, I know she's no longer with us, but I love Deirdre. I would love to see her, like, so much story still to tell, you know, so.
Those kind of the early days, because I was lucky enough to be on the show to have written some of the, you know, the classic, the classic characters. And so at the time, it was quite nerve-wracking. And now, looking back, you just feel really privileged to have been able to type those lines, really. And the Blanches and the Jacoberas and
I'm just thinking how incredible it is to have your words spoken by Barbara Knox.
Well, that was my very first episode. All my friends said they were going to pile around and watch it at my house, and I was like, "Well, we won't fit in the living room, so we're not going to do that." So we went to the local pub, and they put it on for us.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I remember there was a scene in the cabin, and Barbara Knox spoke a line that I'd sat and typed, and I was it was
surreal,
really surreal moment. I made that up, and there she is speaking. It was really, really odd because, of course, we grow up with this, you know, these actors, these characters in our rooms.
I bet it just feels like so rewarding to have like these legends. Like you're writing a line, and then you have someone like David Nielsen, Barbara Knox, like you have them just like speaking the words that you've written, and it's like, I did that.
I know.
I got like Roy Cropper to like say this line, and it's like,
it's amazing because also they're so amazing and so professional that they'll, you know, even if you had a late rewrite and, you know, maybe the line isn't your favourite line, but you've sent it off and you haven't had a chance to, and thought, oh, well, and then they will find a way to make that line work, and you think, oh, amazing, professional. After all these years, you'd imagine that some people might get a bit, you know, what we call phone it in, and they just don't. Real passion and commitment and professionalism, and, you know, it's extraordinary, really.
If you stripped away all of the production pressures, budget is not an issue at all. Like, what story would you write purely like just for you if you could?
Do you know, it's a really odd question, that, because we do get the opportunity to pitch stories, and I've been there a long time now. And so there have been stories that I felt really passionate about,
Mm.
which might have taken, you know, we'll pitch it and then the next producer comes along and we'll pitch it again, and another
Yeah.
producer comes along and we'll pitch it again. And then years later, I mean, one of the stories that was pitched for many, many years, which ended up being the assisted suicide of Haley Cropper.
Mm-hmm.
And that story, in some form or other, assisted suicide, had been being pitched for a long time. And then the stars aligned and it turned out to be the right story for that character. And of course, you know, with Julie Hesmond-Halsh and David Nielsen, you're kind of in heaven really writing for those actors. But so it's kind of tricky because we do cover pretty much everything. And if you're not happy about the way it went one time, several years later, you may get a chance to do a version again. So I don't know. I think I do pitch all the things I feel passionate about.
Yeah. Really interesting how it kind of cycles through. Like just because one pitch doesn't land here, it doesn't mean it can't be reused again, years later. So
And sometimes a pitch will just not feel right at that time, either because of things that happen in the real world, or because it's not the right characters or the right point in that character's journey or something. But it will stay in people's imaginations, and then at another conference, someone will go, "Oh, what about that story?" And everyone goes, "Oh yes, of course, now it's the right time, the right character." Or I think that, occasionally we've had issues where we've had a story starting and then something happens in the real world where it would be bad taste to continue, and we'll redirect the story. And then maybe years later or months later, you might go, "Well, does it feel okay now, different enough from what's happened?" Because obviously we've got a responsibility, along with the creative responsibility, we've got a kind of real world responsibility not to kind of go around doing harm to people's lives, because a lot of people watch it. So
pitch the acid attack. Is that correct?
yeah,
With
well,
Ryan?
there's two other writers I pitched with, usually Ian Kershaw and Julie Jones. It was actually Ian Kershaw's first mentioned it in our little group, and we were like, "Ooh, is it too much? Not sure." And we kicked it around in our group, but came up with a version that we felt comfortable pitching. Took that to the room, and then again, big discussion, and it ended up being the story you saw. So yeah, that kind of it was my little group, but I can't take full credit for it because it was Ian who said it first.
It's a powerful story. I think I love that Ryan was the character that it happened to. I mean, I think it created a lot of depth. And Ryan Prescott obviously is brilliant. So yeah, really, really powerful storyline.
I think he does all his own makeup now. I think at the beginning it was all done because there's some prosthetic on it. And the makeup artist did it and then trained him. And I think I'm right in saying that now he does that himself.
Well, assuming after all those years, he's probably like, do it with my eyes closed,
Be
so
like, I got this.
yeah, exactly. Corey Dale crossover.
Oh yeah.
How I'm just curious of how you or any of the writers would approach it differently than just a solo episode. Different style of writing, different style of directing, and as a audience member, you feel a bit different watching these different shows. So I'm just curious of logistically how does that work, if you can answer.
Well, to be honest, I don't know much because it's all been quite under wraps.
Yeah.
And I didn't write that episode. I've written a couple of episodes in the very near it, so I've kind of been aware of it. But the writer who's written that episode, Owen Lloyd Fox, wrote Emmerdale for 10 years. So he's written both shows. He's to a great depth, and so he was the perfect writer to on board with that because he knew all the characters. So I'd been hopeless. I'd been watching years of Emmerdale to try and catch up. So it's I keep seeing kind of schedules flying around for things, but we are quite separate from production. One of the things about a show that's as big as Corrie is that each department is quite separate. So we're quite a long way ahead. The episode that I'm currently writing won't go out till April the.
Oh wow, it's quite far away. Yeah,
so we're a long way, and that's just I'm writing the first draft of that, so that's got a few months to go through the process. So kind of these episodes that they're filming, the Corridor ones, were written quite a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we've then moved on to other things. So the production team have kind of got that. So I don't know how much Owen, you'll get rewrites, you get production things that come up, or something's running long or short, or one of the actors becomes unavailable for whatever reason. So you do get a dialogue with script editors while it's in production. But yeah, I don't know. Is the honest answer. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
as much
me
as
too.
you are, I
Yeah.
think.
We are so excited for the Corrie. Like,
Yes.
we have been buzzing since
Yeah.
it got like announced, and then we've seen like we've been making predictions of who from what show is going to be like
Yeah.
involved, and
Lots of theories.
we are, yeah.
So you
So
both
we're
watch.
just very excited.
Which soaps do you watch then? All of them?
I watch all of them.
I watch Corrie. I watch some of Emmerdale. I don't really watch a lot of Hollyoaks. I watch a little bit of it, and I don't watch EastEnders. So
EastEnders is great. You need to watch it, Amelia. It's so
I know
good.
you keep telling me this.
It's interesting, like also post-COVID, because a lot of people watch more telly in COVID, and a lot of people were at home, and the writers, we were all busy because we had to rewrite the show ready for when it could be shot again, because obviously we'd written quite a long way ahead. But when we were ready to shoot again, each set had to be measured, and how many actors could be 2 meters apart with a camera operator and a sound operator. And so actually we worked through COVID rewriting the show ready for when you could start again. We only just made it through without running out of episodes.
Oh,
but
wow.
yeah, lots of people were watching them. So we got, I think, more new audiences at that time. So, and obviously social media, TikTok and things means a lot of younger people have got engaged with it. So it's interesting.
Yeah, it is. Do you have a guideline of like how many exterior or interior shots you can do, or any like night shoots that you can do?
What I've always loved about this show is that at the beginning of it, there is quite a lot of room. You can kind of say what you want to write, and then of course the schedulers will look at it, and the production people will look at it, and they'll go, well, we can't have a child on a night shoot at this time, so could that be day? Or so we do a commission comment. So the storylines come out on a Friday, and by Monday we have to send a scene breakdown, and then we have a meeting where the production people say, but they really try and let us do what we really want to do. But sometimes it's fine, you can move something interior if there's too many exteriors, because we've got, I think, quite often 3 units filming at the same time, so somebody needs to be on the street. You can't have 2 lots on the street usually, because the sound wouldn't work. So there are restrictions, but they try not to be too restrictive with them. And then later down the line, as you're producing, you might find that it rained when it was meant to be sunny, and they've had to drop a scene, and you might have to rewrite it into the Rovers or something. So, but generally speaking, they try and be as flexible as they can. But it's tough scheduling. This show must be. I'm glad I'm not a scheduler.
Yeah, it must be very hard. Yeah,
I feel like that would stress me out.
Yeah.
I would be just very stressed.
I
can barely schedule my own life, let alone about
exactly
20 different actors.
And
3
and production.
And production.
I don't think especially if like the actors are like already at like guarantee and things like that, like just the scheduling and stuff is just I can imagine. Ugh.
And you will get that a lot. So they'll go after your first draft, they say, could you add certain actors, maybe because they might be under guarantee, or we haven't seen them for a bit, and we like to make the place feel populated and the community feel present, and because there's so many stories going, that's lots of plates spinning, and inevitably bits drop off, and then somebody will go, oh, we've forgotten that bit of story. So there's lots of adjustments happen as you go along. But I always think with the first draft, is to write your little half-hour or hour film as best you can, and then adjust it as it goes along.
Yeah, we've talked to like Sydney and Callum, and they've always said like the scheduling part of it is insane, but like the scripts that they get are like just so fulfilling and amazing to read. And like Sydney especially, like she was so proud of the scripts that she's gotten to like act and
she's great.
And Sydney is amazing. We love Sydney.
We have such a strong cast, and as a writer, it's great because you kind of know what you can get, so you can be challenging, and it's I don't know what other soaps are like, particularly apart from the ones I've written on, but when you've got a cast as strong as this, because we'll get a cast list of who's in your episode, and it'll be like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh good, good, because you can kind of, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
No, you don't. You kind of can give your best work now, and they can give theirs. So
Yeah. Hmm. So, we recently spoke with Steve Bradshaw from TV Cops. He was telling me like he was involved in like shooting the armed police elements of like the sh siege scenes.
oh yeah,
Yeah, and I'm just really interested. Do you use specialist advisors to sort of shape storylines while you're writing?
we use them. We definitely do when we're doing issue based stuff or
Mm,
things where we might have an impact on. Well, we do have an impact on people. So
mm,
any story that's got I'm trying to think of some we've got at the moment. There's, coercive control stories that are
mm,
just beginning, and the knife crime stories. We will talk to the
yeah.
charities and, people survivors perhaps, and just to make sure we don't kind of continue any misconceptions or whatever, so we can challenge things and do things
Mm,
truthfully and, constructively. So then there's other things where our researchers are great, and they will come back and they'll say, well, this is what the police have said would be how it's done. But if we get the right advisors, they'll go, but I know for the drama you need this. So
yeah.
perhaps if you mitigate it with, I know with that particular one, there was, it's like I was juggling keeping the characters there with where the armed police would be,
Mm,
we wanted Kit to be negotiating, but they would have a police negotiator. So it was like I had to have Rob say, I will only talk to Kit, and then they'll let him do it. So there are things where the police will go, well, it wouldn't happen like that, and go, okay, rather than, oh, well, we'll change it and have a random actor playing a negotiator, which we don't want to see. We want to see Kit do it.
yeah.
So we'll find a way around it that is truthful enough. So yeah, we get advisors in, and we try and do as we're told, but obviously it's a fiction, it's a drama.
Yeah.
So
At the end of the day, it is a drama. Like it's not a documentary, it's a drama,
exactly.
and
Yeah.
you have to do what you can. Yeah.
So you obviously write for a ton of characters, legendary and new. So which character or characters do you find or do you feel are easiest to write for? And do you find it easier to write for individuals or like couples slash families in a scene?
It's a good question. I mean, what I love about this show is we've got a huge number of characters. I think we have something like 70 regulars plus visitors, and so there's always somebody who is available in the episode to say something I want to say. If I'm feeling strong about something, particularly if we're doing a subject that I feel passionate about, or something I have a political opinion on. I mean, kind of political with a small p. I mean, like I said before, I like writing the strong female characters because that's a Corrie tradition, and it's always done, and especially when they're funny as well. But the thing about a clan is that if you take something like the Platts, it's great when you've got a Platt scene where all in the living room, they're all bickering with each other, and you kind of, you can get the humour and the emotion and three generations or even four. So I think the episodes I most like writing is when you can cut between an intense, say, two-hander where you're getting under character skins, and then you cut to a pub quiz, which is daft, and then you cut to a big Platt party where they're all arguing. So I think as a writer, what it gives you is you can scratch all the itches, and then every now and again you might get a big special episode, which you get to kind of dig a bit deeper into individual characters. So I think it's an impossible question to answer. I'm just really glad I get to do all of it. So
Yeah.
yeah, the mix I think is what's really attractive rather than one or the other.
Which couple is your favorite to write for?
Currently,
Yes.
it's a leading question.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think you're heading Swarla here, aren't you? I mean, the thing about Carla and Lisa, but obviously I've been writing Carla a lot longer, but both those characters they tick that box: strong, also vulnerable, slightly reckless characters that are always very satisfying to write. So, yeah, I've had some quite key episodes for their development, which including guns and as well as
Mm-hmm.
just emotional scenes where they just talk to each other. So it's been a very heightened story, but also one of the things that I think is true of maybe all soap, but the soaps I've been involved with is the plots are always very heightened, but you always try and write them truthfully. So if you zoom out and look at what's happened to everybody, you go, oh, that's ridiculous. Every house has had 4 murders and 6 fires. But actually, when you're writing the scene, it has to be completely truthful. And that's why our actors can then, play this truthfully. There's no cynicism in it, which is, again, why you can just keep going for all this time, because it always digs down. So, it's always great to write. Roy and Evelyn are always fun. That's another different sort of extreme. And I was going to say, David and Shona are always great to write. If I start naming,
We need more scenes of David and Shona and Carla and Lisa.
okay,
Plus
in that
Tim and
story.
Sally.
Well,
We need like a dinner party with those three, like with those three
okay.
couples.
Making a note. You want hot tub with David, Shona, Sally, Lisa,
Carla and Lisa.
and
The hot tub needs used again.
we might need a bigger hot tub, but yeah. Okay, made a note. It's probably end up being a line where they just say, should we sneak in the hot tub? Oh no, they're in there. And then you'll go, well, that was probably when she tried to write the scene, it got cut.
Speaking of Swarla, do you have a like favorite Swarla scene you've written, or like a favorite Swarla line you've written?
uh, it's so weird, isn't it? Because by the time like I said, we're writing kind of April now. So I'm trying to think. I'm always pleased to get scenes to write for them, but I can't think. I suppose in the early stages when we're developing the relationship, it's always interesting to break down the barriers and things like that. So, but I don't know, you probably know better than me actually, because it's talking about, sorry, that's my dog barking. Just ignore him. He should shut up in a minute.
Oh, I'm just waiting for mine to bark and
Oh,
for
okay.
Shanika to start loving, because
That is
Shanika
true.
loves my dog.
The only reason why I joined this podcast is for Amelia's dog. So there's
She did.
that.
When you're writing long running characters like Carla, Rita, um, Roy, Ken Barlow, what techniques keep them evolving instead of like repeating patterns?
It's always story, I think. It's being able to come up with a new story, and because the actors are great, and sometimes it's to do with who comes into their lives. So, if you think about all the stories Rita's had, and I just wrote the one that was just on with Jenny's exit. And at the time I was saying, well, we've got, obviously Rita was brought her in, she was her foster mother, so she got lots of scenes, and she's an extraordinary actor, just, always word perfect, and, all the emotion she brings into it. So that would have been a big episode for her, and it's part of a big story where she's the old kind of wise advisor to the younger chicks and whatever. And obviously played a big story with Roy with the prison story recently. And then he might be quiet and just in the cafe for several months, and then another story kind of. So I think it's always the story that keeps characters fresh. Because we've got cast who've been on the show. With Ken Barlow, Bill Roach has been on the show since 1960, before any of us were born. And there he is, word perfect at the age of 90 something. But so what we might do is give people a rest if they've had a big story for a bit, and then another story will hit. So yeah, I'd say it's always story that keeps characters fresh.
It's very interesting now that we know that Becky's going to be the new villain of Corrie, which I can't wait. I've been waiting for a new female villain in the soaps. So like, we know that he's Rory. He can't lie. Rory Cropper lie? Ooh. And Becky's not gonna like that because she's gonna see Roy is a threat. So I can't wait to see how he's brought into their storyline with
Yeah.
his honesty and just Roy-ness of it.
Yeah, and you asked about families and things, and one of the things that again keeps characters fresh is who's around them. And so, Roy is a singular character, and yet we kind of built a family around him, and Carla is absolutely key to that family. So yeah, it gives us more stakes to play with if there's a baddie in, is like they're going after a family rather than just an individual. It just gives us more to play with, more scenes, more jeopardy.
Yeah, because I've told Shanika, I'm like, instead of going after Carla, what if Becky goes after Rory? And then Shanika's immediately yelled at me and
Please
told me
don't
to shut
even
up.
put that in the universe. No,
Yeah, me as the prediction
don't do
queen.
that.
Knock on wood. Is it more exciting to write for new characters or returning characters?
New or returning, you get different things from each. So with a new character, usually you get a bit of an opportunity to shape them, which is quite nice because there'll be a blank canvas. So as a writer, you can just make stuff up about their past or present, and then the archivists will log that so that that becomes true, which is great. But you don't have the familiarity that gives you stakes. Returning characters, they're carrying their history with them, but that can be a real positive if they've got enemies already on the street or exes or so it immediately gives you scenes to play with, and also the audience can take a little while to accept a new character, so you have to work quite hard to get the audience to accept them, especially if they're baddies, because they're usually when we brought Evelyn in, she was, because of the kind of bitchy voice she's got, which is great to write, but audiences can be a little bit, well, they're not being nice for everyone, but if they fight for their family, suddenly they can be as horrible as they can to everybody else because we know where their heart is. And so like with Evelyn, as the family thing grew, everybody started absolutely loving the character. So I think especially if they've got a sharp tongue, a new character can take a while to bed in. But it's always good seeing an old face back in it.
Yeah.
It kind of rewards longer viewers. They're like, oh yes, I was here when they did this.
Yeah.
I know we've already talking about Swarla and like the scenes that you've written, but could you share a breakdown of the car scene between Carla and Lisa and the moment at Carla's flat between Carla and Lisa? So, because both episodes were written very well. When writing the car scene where we found out more about Lisa, how far ahead did you know the relationship was developing?
Oh yeah, well, by the time I wrote those episodes you're referring to, we knew the direction we were heading, and obviously Vicky Myers had been in for a while as a kind of cop, rocked up and arrested various people at various times, and for quite a long time.
Roy Cropper.
Yeah. The decision had been made that we were going to get them together, and then the challenge was the journey to that point. So in the car scene in that episode, I decided that the key to it was to get, I mean, obviously the storylines had done work, and I'd got my storyline, so I knew where I wanted to get, where the show wanted me to get to, where I had to get to in the episode. But the challenge, like saying before about Craig's death, was to get Lisa into a place where she would be what she would consider unprofessional enough to cry in front of Carla, which changed the dynamic of their relationship. So I think Betsy was in the first draft in person. And then I think there was a decision that they wanted to reveal that she was Lisa's daughter in a later episode. So it became a phone call. So it was kind of trying to get Betsy as a teenage distressed person missing her other mother to be quite cruel, and just Lisa to hit the wall with it, so that when she's in the car, she's basically crying at work. Mm-hmm. And that triggers Carla's kind of seeing her slightly differently, having some concern, seeing the person behind the job, because obviously Roy's in prison and Carla is fighting for Roy. So yeah, that scene was about making Lisa vulnerable enough to be crying in front of Carla, and then Carla to make some wrong assumptions that made her then feel she wanted to kind of make up for it. So yeah, that's what it was like. Once the plotting is right, it kind of gives the freedom, that episode, to just kind of really have. It was a very long scene, which when you do a really long scene, you've got to earn it. So it was kind of getting to the place where they make a connection, and then when they're next doing their roles of, you know, you're a terrible cop, get Roy out of prison, there's a bit more knowledge between them. So it's the beginning of, and then the moment in the flat, similarly, really, is because there'd been the hostage thing, wasn't there? And Lisa had swept in and fixed it. So it was the first time. What I was aiming at with that, and again, the storyliners did a lot of work as well, but what I was aiming at with that is that it would be the wrong time. So there's an attraction building, and it's new for Carla, but Carla is a very kind of reckless. She wouldn't be worried about the sexuality side of it. If she felt attraction, she feels attraction. But now, with the grief of Lisa, it would be a really bad time for it. So there's just a realization that, okay, this is new for Carla. Or with Lisa, oh no, I can't deal with this now. So just trying to put them in that place where the barrier's being broken down, and then they can move towards, you know, the kiss and that. So yeah.
And just the scene of where you see the realization on both of their faces is just something I think that's stuck with the entire Swarla fandom. It's just like, it was that moment for Carla where she realizes, like, oh, I don't see her as a friend anymore. I want her as something more, and it's beautiful.
And that's, you
beautiful
know,
writing.
Well, also, you know, well, thank you for that, but a credit to the actors, because, like I say, you know, in the stage direction, I might say, well, I wouldn't say as detailed as I've just said to you, but that's what we're aiming at. And actually, all it is a moment. It's the offline. It's not in line, is it? There's the lines that lead up to it, and then the stage direction will say there's a moment. But you know, Lisa, if anything had happened, Lisa would have been furious because Carla's not listening to her grief, and also, and Lisa will be thinking, "Here's another straight bird." You know what I mean? It's like, you know, I'm doing that anymore.
That line still. That line was great.
It's new experience for Carla, but she's the sort of character that just acts on her impulses. So, which is great, because then you don't have to do a big coming out story, or which we've told a million times and feel very old fashioned now. It's much better to do something that feels like true to the character. No shame. It's the shame that you get fed up of seeing.
So, was there an episode you were sort of nervous about writing? Either if it's just like kind of hit you so personal and you kind of like, I want to get the story right.
Yeah, I get nervous with a number of episodes, actually, because you want to get things right. I mean, the recent one I'd say was Paul's MND story, or it's ALS in American, the MND story that we told, because there was a story where we're kind of going from his point of view and hearing his interior voice. And I worked quite closely with the director, Vicky Thomas, on that, which we don't work with the directors very much at all. So it was great to be able to talk stuff through, and she had great ideas as well. But it was such an intense episode, big for the actors, Peter and Dan, who are amazing. And it's the first time I've had asked for an extension, actually. I needed an extra couple of days because it took a lot of plotting, it took a lot of writing, and it was a difficult episode, but I was really proud of it in the end, you know. And it was, like I said, great to work with it. We did a read through, which again, the writers don't get to do this very often. In fact, they don't usually do read through. So with those episodes,
really? Oh wow.
Yeah.
I would assume you would be able to. Oh, it's interesting.
No, there is quite a separate sectioning off of us, which, you know, I think even the actors don't realise how little contact we have with the directors. I've tried to a little bit now, trying to get more proactive with that. But, there's just not time. We've moved on, and you know. So the script editors are more like links between us and the director. And the other one I was nervous for, which is going back a bit more, or excited, nervous, was that I did one of the live episodes, which must have been 2015 or something now. And because I'd written theatre originally, I was kind of not worried about the fact that you've got to time things to, you know, a costume change, but particularly things like people walking through a door into a set, because the door's on the street, the set's in the studio. So we had segues. So you had to walk through the door, cut to something else. get the actor on a Segway, get into the studio, and then come, and then they're in the living. So there was a lot more mechanics, and also it was alive. So everyone was excited and nervous, and they did full rehearsals and things like that as well. So that was a really exciting and scary.
But it has been like very fulfilling once it's over and you see it and just like
it was a
weight
great
lifted.
party.
Yeah.
It was a good party.
Yeah.
They had everyone was on it. Had I think 4 first ADs or something.
Oh wow.
The director, then the first ADs running different units. I mean, people just getting cables out the way in time for cameras it was just an extraordinary feat. It really was.
Wow. And you can't get that anywhere else. I mean, I always say like theater and soaps are the top two sort of industries if you really want to be at top tier, in my opinion. You can't do anything.
I think one of the great things with soaps is just the sheer volume of it, which means you're constantly writing, and then a few months later, that what you've written is on telly, and you might have had a note and thought, no, I don't agree, and fight for the line, keep it there, and then watch it. Yeah, no, they were right. It was. That's me. So you're constantly able to learn from what goes on telly, whereas I do a lot of development stuff, and you can write a script, rewrite it. 5 years later, you're still pitching it, and you haven't had anything on telly yet. So there's that ability to see stories roll through, see episodes roll through.
What sort of skills and habits do you think aspiring screenwriters or scriptwriters should have? Like, what makes you look at a writer and say, okay, I want to see more of their work?
Well, they've got to finish things, which sounds really obvious, but it's one of the hardest things, because you'll get 3/4 way through, lose confidence, get another idea over here that's more attractive, and then if you finish things, people can read them, give you feedback, you can develop, you can keep, so that's one thing. Well, keeping writing is another thing. Sometimes writers want to write, but they're not writing, so you've got to keep writing. That's really important. And you've got to the two things to work professionally in telly, I think theatre's slightly different, is you've got to have a speculative script, which needs to be what you want to write, that shows you off like an audition piece. So we sometimes get people wanting to write Corrie, and they'll write a Corrie, and actually, because we're 6 months ahead, it'll already feel out of date and stuff. You need to write something that's you, and then I have read people's trial scripts, or I've read sometimes people's work, and you go, they bring something amazing to Corrie. They're funny, or they're warm, or they're emotional, or whatever they've got. So rather than trying to imitate the thing you want to write, is write the thing you write, and then and finish it.
Yes, that is a big one. Writers write,
So you write this as well.
I am, yes.
Oh, okay. Does that sound familiar then?
Oh yes. Tell myself that all the time. Writers write, sit back, get it on a page, Just get on a page, you can do everything else later. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes the hardest thing to do, but I mean, the lovely thing about something like a soap is we know that I know the structure, I know the characters, I know the voice of the show, I know how many scenes make an episode, all those decisions that you have to make in original work that with my original stuff, I sometimes spend all day thinking that's not the right name for the lead character.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, I've tried 40 different names and I haven't written anything. It's like, stop, just make one up.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite relationship or story that you've pitched?
That's really true. It's partly because I've got a rubbish memory, but also because everything changes in the room. That I bet I'd say something and then I'd find it was pitched by someone else and I just built on it and whatever. So I can't. Is there anything? I mean, yeah, like I said, the Haley assisted suicide story was a pitch that me and a couple of other writers had done several times, but whether we were the ones that pitched it in that moment, I can't even remember. And the story that we kind of didn't play it quite how pitched, that we touched on in the Theo story, to do with the I always forget the name of it, where the church's behaviour towards him was something that we pitched before, which we've been wanting to tell, but it became a smaller part of this story than the pitch was. It was the main thing in the pitch. So things kind of build and change, and sometimes the best stories happen in the room. So, oh yeah, there was one. You probably won't remember the Richard Hillman days. but I was a fairly new writer. He was our villain, who was quite a famous villain at the time. And at that time, there weren't many female writers on the team, and it's quite hard to get your voice in. And I remember saying, because I think I'd seen an article saying, might he be the sort of character who would kill himself and take his family with him? And nobody kind of heard it. But the writer next to me, and to be fair to me, went, oh, Debbie's just said something interesting. Might he be the sort of character? Now, I didn't pitch the story, and John Fay, one of the writers at the time, pitched loads of the story and developed and all that. But that moment came from me. And it became
he was the one that drove off the
with Gail and
bridge, right? Into the
canal.
Yeah. With See, I do remember something, Shanika, because I've only started watching recently. And so Shanika's like, you need to rewatch stuff. I know that one.
Yes.
There you go.
So I got one on you.
Yeah.
Well, he was a huge villain for us for ages. It was a huge threat. And that was pretty much was just building as I joined the team. So it was kind of one of my little triumphs.
Gail's had some rough relationships.
She has had really rough relationships, yes. It's becomes quite fun pitching her next relationship, although of course now she's retired. But yeah, that was always good fun what her next husband would be.
Very thankful that you were able to sit down with us and chat with us, Debbie. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for
thanks for inviting me, and good luck with the podcast.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
This has been Stateside Street, the podcast where two Americans talk about all things British soaps. I'm your host, Amelia.
I'm Shanika.
And you all have been fabulous. See ya, everyone.
See ya.